Hello YouTube, I'm Edison Waltz, here to bring you an update on my granblue deck that I'm playing and still playtesting. I'm not going to go in any particular. I'm going to go from grade 0 to grade 4, and I'm going to try and explain the abilities as quick as possible. The deck profiles usually go near 30 minutes, so sorry about that. First up is Undying Departed Grenache. I'm assuming the E on his name is silent. Here's the card. Again, sorry for looking up at the computer at my TV, but yeah, and sorry about all that noise. My computer's doing stuff. But Grenache's ability. Forerunner. Hollow. When this user is placed on rear guard from drop zone, he dies at the end of the turn. He goes to the drop zone at the end of turn. When he is called from the drop zone, and I have hollowed him, I'm allowed to take 2 cards. When he dies at the end of the turn, I'm allowed to take 2 cards from my drop zone and flip them face up. So, good card if your deck is heavy in counterblast, which the way I built mine it is. So, again, sorry about that. My computer's doing stuff. Next up is 4 copies of Rough Seas Banshee. I'll just hold up a single card so you can see it better. Sorry about the glare. I don't know how well you can see, but yeah. This is the newer art. There is an older art. But, her ability, put her into the soul, as long as you have a granblue Vanguard, which if you run a pure granblue deck, you will, draw a card. So, she's, aside from a critical trigger, she's also a draw trigger. Without being a draw trigger, if that makes any sense. Hopefully to the people who play Vanguard, it does. But moving on. Next up is 4 copies of Jimmy the Ghosty. A critical trigger. I will hold up a single. Just gonna hold up a single card for now. Yeah, I only run 4. I run 8 crit, 4 heal, 4 stand. The stand trigger you will understand why when I explain its ability. Next up is one of the newer heal triggers for the granblue. Is Good Luck Charm Banshee. 4 copies. I love the Banshees. I want an entire series, an entire deck of nothing but Banshees, which would be fun. And yeah, basically just So finally is Mike the Ghosty and the Family. This guy has a unique effect. He has a hollow effect, so when he hits the field from drop zone, he dies at the end of the turn. But Generation Break 1, which is also known as GB1, when this unit is placed from rear guard into drop zone, if it was hollowed, which it would be, choose up to one of your other units, basically one other card on the field. And that unit gains 10,000 power until end of turn. Also, this unit gets when it's put into the drop zone. Basically, I can send this card back to the deck and use it for, if I get it in hand, I can use it for shield or, yeah. So basically, I can replenish my stand triggers. But yeah, that's it for my trigger lineup. If you have any suggestions, mind you, I don't plan on changing my trigger lineup, just let me know in the comments. But moving on to my grade 1s, which for my Sentinels I run two different types. The first one is Gusjin, the original Sentinel. You just discard a card and he's basically the perfect card. It basically stops any attack, no matter how strong it is. Then I do Freddy the Ghosty. He's basically just the same thing. He's just the newer version. Okay, that's out of the way. Now, Lord's Shadow Suletna. 4 copies of him. I will show up. I will show the card. I don't know how you can see him. There, I'm trying to get him as good as possible. But yeah, his ability, obviously, a generation break. I can basically the number that you see here. Put that at 10,000 power. Make it a 10,000. Basically, he becomes a 10k booster. For the Vanguard people who know what that is, I don't think I have to explain it. But yeah, I'm gonna be moving on now. Next is Sea Rumble Banshee. Like I said, I love the Banshees in this deck series, but reading her ability. She has a hollow ability, so I've already explained what that is. Drop zone, counterblast 1. Choose as long as you have generation, as long as you have she's GB1, which is generation break 1. Counterblast 1. Choose one of my rear guards and retire it, and call her to a rear guard circle. When this happens, by the way, she goes to 10,000. She goes to 9,000 power. Because she gives herself that ability, and the cost that you pay for her at the end of the turn is unflipped. So in other words, you basically get an unflipper and a 9k booster. Next up is 2 copies of Sea Strolling Banshee. Sea Strolling Banshee, I've decided to run 2 of, and well, we've now seen the grade 1 lineup. I send a card from my soul to the drop zone, and I get to draw a card. That's all she does, is draw a card. So, yeah, that's my grade 1 lineup. So, yeah. Moving on to the grade 2s. I run 4 copies of 3-star Chef Pietro. It's all the same guy. Just 4 of them. Your damage on flipper. He unflips damage when he hits. As long as he hits the Vanguard, of course. This card has to hit the Vanguard in order for his ability to work. He basically, yeah. So, Garuda, and is the only other example for the Vanguard players who know what I'm talking about. Moving on, I run 2 copies of Witch Doctor of the Rotten Sea, Nigrowook. I'm not even kidding, that's actually how his name is spelled. N-E-G-R-O-R-O-O-K. Now you could say it's Necrorook, but no, it's not spelled correctly for Necro. But anyway, moving on, he has a hollow ability. I've already explained what that is. So he'll die at the end of the turn, but when he attacks a Vanguard, he gains 2,000 power. So he basically goes up to 11k. Then he gets another 5,000 power, which is basically 5k, if he was hollowed, which he usually will be. He's also a GB1. So, yeah, just showing you the art. Yeah, pretty interesting card. Pretty fun. I've used them, so he's decent. Next I run 2 Ruin Shade for, the reason is, and you're going to be seeing a lot of the last last 8 cards are going to be all in 2s. So yeah, good for early game. After that, screw her ability. Her ability is basically, and this is not a GB, this is Vanguard or Rearguard. Take the top 2 cards from the deck, put them in the drop zone, and she gains 2,000 power. Good for getting cards you want into the drop zone early game, but after that, just don't use the ability after that. Next up is 2 copies of Skeleton Cannoneer. He has a hollow ability. Basically, when he hollows, GB1, counterblast 1 when the unit is placed on Vanguard from drop zone. Pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. If this card was hollowed, draw a card. So, retires a unit, and draws a card, then dies. Simple as that. Next up, also has a GB1 skill, not a hollow, a GB1. That is Pirate Swordsman Columbard, which I believe I'm pronouncing that name correctly. His ability, GB1, as I've already said, when this unit attacks, and it's boosted by a unit, you may pay the cost of you, which is a counterblast of 1. Choose it to one of your rear guards in your drop zone, and call it to rear guard circle. And that's it. So, yeah, that's my grade 2 lineup. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I would actually prefer some more Negro Rook instead of Cannoneer. But, yeah. I'm going to be moving on to my grade 3s. Yeah. So, first up is, for my grade 3s, is Undead Knight of the Cursing Spear. 4 copies. Yeah, okay. Ability, Act, Generation Break 1. Counterblast 2, choose one card from your drop zone. Call it to rear guard, and that unit gains 2,000 power. This is a Vanguard ability. Its other Vanguard ability, when it attacks a Vanguard, it gains another 2,000. This unit gains 2,000 power. So it's basically a 13k attacker as long as you're attacking the Vanguard. It also calls another unit, and yeah. I mainly use him for stride fodder. Hopefully people know what that means, so I don't want to explain it, but yeah. Stride fodder is basically what I'll get into later. But for my final grade 3 is Ice Prison Hades Emperor Cocytus Reverse. I'm not going to read off his abilities because, yeah, he's basically there just to stride on. I will be getting into what that is momentarily. Which is actually basically right now. For my extra deck, which will be going up to 16 at some point, for the first card, I run 2 copies of Ghosty Great King Obadash, also known in the cardfight community as King Boo, Vanguard Edition. I'm not going to bother reading his ability because I only use this guy for G-Assist. So, yeah. Next up is King of the Secret Schemes, Bandit Rum. Yeah, this guy I'm gonna read. So when this guy when this unit attack, I'll read the stride thing. Stride. Both players must be a grade 3. It can't be in the main deck, and choose one or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater. Basically, discard a grade 3, or a grade 2, or grade 1, or 2 grade 2s. And yeah, that's about the or 3 grade 1s. That's the only combinations you have. So, but anyway, discard them from your hand, put them in your drop zone, turn this card face up on the Vanguard circle, which is pretty much the same thing as King Boo here. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, choose one of your units in your drop zone. Call it to rear guard and give it 2,000 power. This thing is fun. These 4 are going to be last, and you'll understand why it lasts. You'll understand why. But next up is 4 copies of Ice Prison Hades Deity Cocytus Negative. I like this guy. He's fun. His ability, I've already read the Stride abilities, the first part of the Stride. So he has a turn 1 ability. Counterblast 1, put the top 3 cards of your deck into your drop zone. If you have a heart card with Cocytus in your name, Cocytus, you may superior call a unit from the drop zone. If that unit has Cocytus in it, Cocytus, but grade 3 or grade 3, you get to call a grade 1 or lower and give that unit 4,000 power until end of turn. So mainly this guy or one of the other units in your drop zone. Oh, and those units do not retire unless they have hollow abilities. So yeah. Next up is what's known as what has recently come out as the G Guardians. This one is Eclipse Dragon Hulk. Deep Corpse Dragon. Oh, and I love that artwork. That is a beautiful artwork. Now, if you notice something a little odd, hey look, the power's on the side. Sorry about the middle finger. The power is on the side instead of on the bottom. I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to read off its stride power. And yes, I said stride. Or I should say, Generation Guard. Both players have to have grade 3 or greater. The number of cards in your generation zone has to be 3 or less. Yeah, 3 or less. During your opponent's turn during the guard step, choose one heal trigger from your hand. Discard it. Call this card to the generation circle from face down, or from your G's into Guardian circle from face down. So basically, take it from this position and put it up there like this. Basically, instead of it being like this, it'd be like this. This unit now. This thing has an auto ability instead of the normal 15k shield. It also gets this. Put the top 2 cards of your deck into your drop zone. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gains 5,000 power until the end of battle. That's shield power, not attack power. This is basically the new version of guarding. This is fun. And yes, you can only, like heal triggers, you should only run 4. Now, you can mix which 4 you use, but you can only run 4. Because of the way the ruling is stated. Basically, you could use all 4 in a single attack from let's say, Kagero. If the Vanguard was, say, well, their most badass from Generation 3, from Season 2, Season 3, Season 1 and Season 3. Which is a terrifying aspect, but this basically makes it less so. So, yeah, that's my granblue deck. And also, again, room change. If you have any suggestions upon the deck, please let me know. And, my next deck profile will be on Harpies. And yes, this is Cyber Harpy for those who don't know. For those who recognize, good for you. Those who don't, research some cards. But yeah, so I'm coming up on 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I'm Edison saying actually, you know, I have no idea what I should do for what I should say for my videos. So I'm going to leave that up to all of my viewers, which I ask that you actually comment on this. But what do you think my end saying should be? Just so you know, I am a Star Wars fan, or a sci-fi fan as well. An anime fan, as you can see the bleach sword over there. Yeah, so, whatever suggestions you have for an end saying, yeah, I'd, like some suggestions. Also, I like, fantasy, sci-fi genre games, Warcraft, Star Wars, Beer series, Dishonored, Diablo 3 to an extent, the BioShock series, hell, even I like anime as well. So any suggestions for that as well from that, that'd be great. And if the person whose suggestion I use, I will give you a shout out in the next video I do. Yeah, so please give me some suggestions. I'd appreciate it. And for now, well, I'm just gonna use the saying right now from the original Yu-Gi-Oh! For now until I can get some better suggestions. May the heart of the cards be with you. Bye.